My name is Brendan Nagel, and I'm the President and CEO of TLG, Technologies for Learning Group. We're an e-learning company that has for the last 10 years or so also built Serious Games as part of learning systems that we build for corporate clients. I think one of the funny parts about gaming as a tool in learning in corporations is, in many respects, games as activities have always existed in corporate training. They just haven't been called serious games. I think one of the challenges is, especially in corporate settings, is when you call them a serious game and you focus the corporate buyer on the game alone, you create the conditions within which the buyer is interested in his or her return on investment. And one of the challenges with pure games is they're difficult to, they're expensive and they're difficult to figure out what you're getting as a result, you know, for corporations. Certainly with online or digital learning of any sort, there's a couple of key advantages that corporations are going to look for. One of which is, or perhaps the biggest value, is a reduction in training costs. That may seem a little strange because initially the costs are considerable to build a serious game for learning. If you're focused on the message and the importance of getting a clear and consistent message to employees on a regular basis, a serious game is going to help you do that, because you can control the message and you can actually place that message into a digital format in a way that it goes out the same way every time. When you're hiring trainers, and nothing, you know, I'm a lifelong instructor myself, so
you have nothing about trainers.
Well, you know, trainers have bad days, right? And trainers decide to not say certain things and not say them in the way that maybe you want them to say, and that sort of thing. So there's a couple of big advantages: cost and consistency of message, the ability to shift the content quickly as the needs in the corporation change. So if you're rolling out a new product, or you're in a situation where you take on a new client, you can train across your organization quickly and inexpensively and be more successful with that new client or that new product. Because of the development costs, so generally, you know, your sunk costs, the costs that go in early on development, because they're relatively high, I mean, we as a company, we target corporations as few as 100 to 150 people. Ideally, 500 plus employees is probably a reasonable place to start. You know, the interesting part about the industry right now is that a lot of it focuses on Fortune 500 companies, but there's only 500 of those.
Oh, really?
Well, sure. The real problem is that a lot of them, sure, a lot of them are spending on serious games currently, but it's a relatively small market, you know. The vast majority of corporate buyers of education services are small and medium-sized enterprise, and by that I mean in the 100 to 500 employee range. We do all of our work in online environments, so one of the good things about being online is that you can reach a lot of people. You know, the market, actually, it's interesting. The market in Canada has really expanded in the last few years to encompass a lot more smaller companies. It's improved considerably in that respect. The U.S. is so far ahead corporately in using digital learning services of any sort, whether they be serious games or LMSs, or, you know, or really just traditional computer-based training programs. But, you know, so I mean, the U.S. is ahead of Canada, but Canada's certainly come along in the last 3 to 5 years. We've seen. Outside of that, Central and South America, Spanish-speaking countries in particular, have been very interested. Language learning kinds of programs are particularly of interest to Spanish-speaking countries, as well as skill development programs. So anything that is geared towards helping a developing country take that next step to develop status. Relatively low-level stuff, and by low-level I mean basic skills, but stuff that people can make money doing. It's a little harder to sell into emerging economies because most of the stuff you'll sell there will be government funded in some way, and it won't necessarily be local government funded. It might be funded through the UN or CEDA or some other international funding agency. But if you can navigate those waters, you can actually do some pretty nice projects that use a lot of gaming technologies and really sort of can step out with serious games. Education as an industry is, if not by this year, by 2010 I believe, expected to be the single largest industry in the world. So it's going to surpass tourism as the biggest industry, apparently. I can't give you the reference on who actually said that, but so I may have read it on the back of a cereal box or something. If we drill down from that sort of broad concept of education, and we take out all of the more traditional education things, colleges, universities, private schools, K-12, everything else, and we move just to sort of the digital online, if you want, or e-learning environment. IDC did a study a few years ago about that industry worldwide, and it was predicted to be growing at 20 to 40% a year over the last 3 to 4 years, right? A good slice of that, and I can't tell you exactly what the number is, but a good slice of that, an increasing slice of that, is activity-based, gaming, if you want to call that, but activity-based learning that's created around scenario-style situations, which to me is games, right?